Seriously, stop what you're doing right now. They just put this on sale again. And instead of being $30, it's now less than $25. Don't be like me. I spent almost $60 on this stuff in store. So get it here because I honestly wish that I had. Anyways, thanks for listening.
Rose is using her daughter the same exact way she said her mother used her. 2 weeks ago, Gypsy started an art adventure, originally stating her prices were because her daughter's formula was $60, setting the stage for a medical situation, because formula is not $60, unless it's a special formula, like lactose-free, just like Gypsy. But let's get into the statement that she made today. Hi friends, I just wanted to share a quick update. I am currently pausing new custom paint orders for the time being. As most of you know, I'm not only a artist, but also a full-time mama to my sweet 7-month-old daughter. Balancing motherhood and my art is such a joy, but it also means I need to slow down for a bit to give my best to both. Wonder if Gypsy remembers whenever she said that her mom used to use her for sympathy, because, girl, all mamas work. And if this had been a job after 2 weeks you said I need a vacation or some time off, you would be fired. But let's go on. She then goes into how she will eventually get back to it. But nonetheless, just like Dee Dee did according to Gypsy, she used the baby for sympathy and added bonus points if you feel bad for her and send her money. Because Dee Dee also used Gypsy to get money. The apple does not seem to be falling too far from the tree.
All right, grab your popcorn because the Gypsy Rose saga is far from over. She's been telling everyone she's gone private, like really stepping back to focus on her baby and live a quieter life. But here's the truth no one seems to want to admit. She's still everywhere. Still talking, still posting, and yeah, still stirring up drama. And not just the usual TikTok kind. We're talking about serious stuff here. Multiple CPS visits, shady cell calls, even using her baby as a sympathy pitch. It's messy, it's raw, and it refuses to be buried. Let's break it all down because no, this isn't some stale old headline you can just scroll past. This story keeps creeping back into the spotlight, louder each time Gypsy tries to sweep it under the rug. She even posted official documents from the Louisiana Department of Children and Family Services confirming CPS did come knocking. Not some internet rumor, not vague chat in the comment section, real paperwork. The file shows that back in April there was a formal report, they launched an investigation and then closed it, saying there wasn't enough evidence to confirm abuse or neglect. Sounds straightforward, right? But that's where the plot thickens. Around that very same time, Gypsy was on social, brushing it all off with confidence, declaring that CPS never showed up, that it was all just hate-fueled rumors. But then her own partner, Ken, went live and dropped a bombshell. CPS had just been there about a month ago, months after the April visit, over claims he was using substances. So we aren't talking about a one-off CPS visit here. This is part of a multi-visit pattern. And the big question hanging in the air? Why were people even calling CPS in the first place? This isn't baseless gossip for most folks paying attention. The worry around Gypsy as a parent isn't just current drama. It's tied directly to her troubled past and patterns people have seen play out before. Nobody's forgotten how she once threatened her own mother, a crime that shocked and horrified the world. And then there are those chilling old conversations with Neoho mentioning Jeremy and a so-called future daughter, which still sends shivers down spines. Layer on the recent streams showing her visibly drinking, moments where the baby's left unattended, and Ken allegedly snorting something on live. And you've got a very real cocktail of concerns, not just tabloid fodder. Even if that April CPS visit ended with no findings, it doesn't erase the whole picture. Ken himself basically admitted there were more visits since then, yet Gypsy and her supporters stuck to the same story for months. CPS never came, and anyone saying otherwise was just stirring drama or outright lying. But now, with those official documents pulling back the curtain, the denials look like half-truths at best. Here's the core dilemma. Gypsy can talk her head off about rebranding, being a hands-on, devoted mom who's moving beyond the past, but the cracks in that image keep widening. And they're not just minor scratches. Those painted walls are starting to crumble under the weight of reality. While CPS was watching, she rolled out a brand new hustle, an art business called Blown Beauty Art. She hyped it up like it was some deep, unique, soulful creative outlet, a gift to the world, a way to spark meaningful conversation with one-of-a-kind pieces that could grace someone's home. But when you peel back that shiny marketing layer, a lot of fans and followers see something way different. To those who've been watching her story closely, buying from Gypsy doesn't feel like supporting a struggling artist's authentic passion. It feels more like handing over your money to someone with a long, very public history of manipulation, chaos, and even violence. This isn't some innocent blank slate creative journey. It's a rebrand built on infamy.
And this letter right here says CPS has already been to her house this year. Baby, let's get into it because this whole CPS scandal has been very interesting. And at first, her, Bree, everybody else was saying that was all lies. Then they came out saying it was true. And then Gypsy posted this. So this is from the Louisiana Department of Children's Services, well, Children and Family Services. And they got a report on April 1st about suspected abuse or neglect involving a child in her care. Now, they said they didn't find enough evidence to back it up. Case closed. But the facts is that there was still an investigation that took place. And that's not nothing. Okay? Now, keep in mind, this is before her and Frosty the Blowman were on live. Now, fast forward, she's online telling people she's painting, and her paintings are costing $60 for small ones, and basically she paid $500 for her art supply.
I think if you are buying Gypsy Rose Blanchard's art because you feel like it's going to be a conversation piece, and you're paying her to splatter paint because of her name and what she did to her mother, that is enabling a convicted felon to continue and do what she's done before and fill her head with things like her paintings are good and they're unique and this, that, and the other. So this is not me saying, oh, don't do that with your own money. This is me saying that if you care about awareness or about being authentic, or if you even just care about the justice system changing, you wouldn't do that. And I get it. Maybe you might not care. But I hope that people are fully aware that when you purchase Gypsy Rose's art, or even her wardrobe that she wore on the show, all that does is fill her head that she can continue doing what she was doing with her mother to everybody else. And I wish more people would see it that way instead of seeing it as people are trying to tear her down. Because essentially she's not creating art because it's a passion or because she wants to be an artist. She's creating art because she knows it's an easy, simple, fast way to make money because people are going to buy it as a conversation piece that Gypsy Rose Blanchard, the woman that killed her mother and conned an autistic man to help her, that she is a celebrity and you will pay for whatever poop mess is on a canvas for it.
Suddenly, she's this artist, but with zero formal training, sketchy demonstrated skills, and decades of notoriety riding shotgun. It begs the question, is this art truly a labor of love? Or just another clever pivot to cash in on the one thing guaranteed to grab attention? Her name, her story, the scandal. Then there's the price tag that had people doing double takes, charging $60 for small pieces and over $120 for larger ones. For someone with no formal education and that long history of monetizing notoriety, many see those prices as less about art and more about opportunism. The value isn't in paint or canvas, it's the infamy attached to her name, the very thing she says she wants to leave behind but keeps actively selling. Of course, when people called her out for what felt like outrageous prices and manipulative marketing, she didn't quietly back down. Nope, she launched into a fiery defense, saying things like, I spent $500 at the supply store to create these. This isn't some dollar store brand. This is premium paint, canvas, shipping boxes, tape, all covered by me. She went on, I charge $60 for the small pieces because that's what it costs to feed my baby. Do you have kids? How do you feed them if you're trolling another mom on the internet? See what she did there? She flipped the whole conversation from art to baby formula money, instantly tugging at heartstrings, framing every brushstroke as a lifeline for her child. And just like that, the critique shifted. But then the uncomfortable questions hit. If she and Ken truly have a solid support system, why does it sound like selling paintings is the only way she's feeding her baby? And if that's the case, Why drop $500 on art supplies before securing the basics like baby formula? For many, that choice wasn't just odd. It was downright alarming and irresponsible. The more people looked, the more it seemed like a familiar playbook. Putting a child's needs front and center, not only as a real struggle, but also as a strategic emotional squeeze on potential buyers. A tactic to guilt-trip people in silent ways, making anyone saying no feel heartless. And yes, many couldn't help but notice this echoed her mother's history of leveraging sympathy for financial gain. Whether she meant it or not, the parallels are impossible to ignore, a shadow lingering over the whole art-selling endeavor. Then, just as quickly as it started, before the paint had even fully dried on some of those pricey canvases, Gypsy popped back online with a public announcement, calling out to her followers she was pausing orders. No slow fade or hush break, just a neat little statement explaining, "I'm not only an artist, but a full-time mom to my sweet 7-month-old daughter. Motherhood is such a joy, but I need to slow down for a bit." Now, that sudden shift, just days after framing these paintings as so vital for baby formula,
He wants everybody to know that Kenny's been so helpful with her online business endeavors. He's actually been taking the time off work, I suppose, to help her bring the packages to USPS. Looks like you almost made your money back for the Liquid-X and the $500 you spent on the art supplies, supposedly. But keep it up. Next round, you may even be able to buy a can of formula.
And this letter right here says CPS has already been to her house this year. Baby, let's get into it because this whole CPS scandal has been very interesting. And at first, her, Bree, everybody else was saying that was all lies. Then they came out saying it was true. And then Gypsy posted this. So this is from the Louisiana Department of Children's Services, well, Children and Family Services. And they got a report on April 1st about suspected abuse or neglect involving a child in her care. Now, they said they didn't find enough evidence to back it up. Case closed. But the facts is that there was still an investigation that took place. And that's not nothing. Okay? Now, keep in mind, this is before her and Frosty the Blowman were on live. Now, fast forward, she's online telling people she's painting, and her paintings are costing $60 for small ones, and basically she paid $500 for her art supply.
I think if you are buying Gypsy Rose Blanchard's art because you feel like it's going to be a conversation piece, and you're paying her to splatter paint because of her name and what she did to her mother, that is enabling a convicted felon to continue and do what she's done before and fill her head with things like her paintings are good and they're unique and this, that, and the other. So this is not me saying, oh, don't do that with your own money. This is me saying that if you care about awareness or about being authentic, or if you even just care about the justice system changing, you wouldn't do that. And I get it. Maybe you might not care. But I hope that people are fully aware that when you purchase Gypsy Rose's art, or even her wardrobe that she wore on the show, all that does is fill her head that she can continue doing what she was doing with her mother to everybody else. And I wish more people would see it that way instead of seeing it as people are trying to tear her down. Because essentially she's not creating art because it's a passion or because she wants to be an artist. She's creating art because she knows it's an easy, simple, fast way to make money because people are going to buy it as a conversation piece that Gypsy Rose Blanchard, the woman that killed her mother and conned an autistic man to help her, that she is a celebrity and you will pay for whatever poop mess is on a canvas for it.
Well, it made folks suspicious. How do you go from, I need this money for my baby, to I'm taking a break, without raising some eyebrows? Critics thought maybe, just maybe, the orders weren't flooding in like she hoped, and the pause was less about balance and more about dodging public embarrassment for low sales. As if the drama wasn't spicy enough, here comes another twist. A TikToker named Trisha, who also goes by Blown Beauty Art, publicly called Gypsy out for straight up stealing her business name. Trisha's no stranger to public attention either. She's been on Dr. Phil with her own story, but says she never got the spotlight Gypsy did. The timing? Suspicious. Shortly after Trisha's accusation, Gypsy's TikTok was suddenly deactivated. Coincidence? Maybe. Or maybe Gypsy was stepping back just enough to let the heat die down before plotting her next move. Speaking of support, Gypsy posted about Ken helping her with the art business, holding packages for the post office and sharing photos of boxes ready to ship. But some people think that was all image management designed to make Ken look like the supportive, loving partner, when in reality, he might just be cashing in on a bit of fame. One even joked the boxes might be empty, just for show. And here's the kicker. Even after loudly announcing she's gone private and stepping away from the public eye, Gypsy is still very much active online. She's still popping into comment sections, defending herself, sparking conversations like nothing has changed. Her private account might be a clever disguise, but reality check. If you're out there still chatting, reacting, engaging in public conversations about your life, you're not truly private. You're just playing a different game. Throw some freedom of speech into the mix and you've got a tricky paradox. Going private isn't some magic shield that lets you broadcast your life while claiming you're out of the spotlight. Especially when there's a long track record of crossing lines. Whether spreading damaging lies, stirring drama, or of course, that life-altering crime in her past. Those things don't vanish just because she claims constitutional rights. In fact, right in the middle of a comment thread, someone bluntly posted a video saying her art looked overpriced and basically calm. Instead of waving it off, Gypsy jumped in with a bold comparison. I've seen a banana taped to a wall sell for millions. That's the beauty of abstract art. It doesn't have to be perfect. Yes, she actually compared her paintings to Maurizio Catalan's infamous duct-taped banana, the masterpiece that sold for $6.2 million, and sparked waves of debate about art's meaning and absurd market values. But Gypsy's pricing? That had nothing to do with art world big shots or curators. She simply plugged her story into an AI tool to generate prices. For many watching, it came off less as a savvy point on art's subjectivity and more like a reach that seriously undercut her credibility. So, where do things stand now? Her art TikTok might be gone, but she's still active on Instagram, posting, commenting, and keeping her name circulating. The account closure feels more like a tactical pause than an exit. Is a full rebrand coming? Testing out a quieter platform? Or is this chapter of blown beauty art really over? With Gypsy, it's hard to say. Every time she claims she's stepping back, she finds a way to pop right back up. Between repeated CPS visits, the overhyped art sales, the emotional marketing using her baby, and constant online chatter, one thing is crystal clear. Gypsy Rose hasn't gone private. She's still here. Still talking, still stirring drama, just swapping out the props on stage to keep the audience hooked.